Welcome to the first greatest podcast in the world. Oh my goodness, we've got the most international crowd we've ever had. This is wonderful. Reverse alphabetical order, we have Seether, I'm Khord Kitty, Jolt, Jerry, Inu, Dave, and Crunchyline. Now, the cool thing about this episode is we have many different continents being represented. Jolt is from Australia. Seether, Inu, and I, and Jerry, we're all from North America, of course, but Dave is from Europe, and Crunchy is from South America. So we got a whole bunch of different continents represented, which is pretty nice. Reverse alphabetical order, let's go. Seether the Wolf, tell us about yourself.
I'm Seether. I am a YouTuber, youtube.com/SeetherChord. Follow me there, @SeetherChord on Twitter. I am an Arctic wolf. My character originally geographically comes from the country of Greenland. I guess you'd call it a country or a territory. I'm not sure exactly. That giant ice ball. Predominantly, Seether, again, is an Arctic wolf with predominantly red, blue, and black colors, and a little bit of pink, too, for his hair. My Sona has gone through 3 different variants, a 1.0 version, a 2.0, and a currently 3.0 version with a little bit of a 3.5 going in, which is a little bit more faded colors. I've also had probably an interesting amount of time just being in the furry fandom. And I joined early 2015, and that was when I was predominantly just being on Skype and everything, and I just did my thing usually, where I just talked to people, and I kind of just got started in the community a little bit. Then I ended up meeting my girlfriend, who's also here, Crunchy, right now, or Crunchy. I met her in 2016 and everything, and we kind of just hit it off and started dating a year after that, and we also both got our fursuits done together by an awesome fursuit maker from Costa Rica known as Blue Wolf Studios. They originally were Knuckler Fur Creations, and now they're known as Blue Wolf Studios. That's currently their current username on their Facebook page. They were a great fursuit maker, in my opinion. I haven't gotten the chance to go to an actual furry convention yet, but I've been to a couple furry meets in predominantly Louisiana and New Orleans, and I've also been to a few conventions in the Louisiana, New Orleans area. That was a lot of fun with some other furries being there as well. I've been doing the furry YouTube game for about, I wouldn't call it a game, since 2017 predominantly. And I've gotten to collab with a couple of different furry YouTube content creators, such as Cothrix and such. And it's been a predominantly fun experience overall. And I value it a lot. And that's pretty much me, I guess. But going in this community since early 2015, so about 5-6 years strong now at this point. So yeah, that's it.
So I have a weird question. I remember the one time I did visit Mississippi was for Memphis Fur Meet, and what I noticed was it seemed like they had a kind of an older fandom. Like it seemed like most people were kind of in their maybe 30s, 40s, 50s. Now, do you recall anything like that when you went to Memphis Fur Meet, or maybe this was just my craziness?
I'd never been to Memphis Fur Meet. I think that's quite a bit of ways from where I am, a couple hours. But I have been involved with the Mississippi Furry group chats, and I will let you know that, yeah, they are predominantly older. I went to a furry party like in 2017, 2018, I think. And did go near there, drove out like a little while out to go there. And I will say people are a little bit older, kind of don't fit in because I'm 22 years old and I did that at the time right at 20. So again, the huge age gap, I guess, but I guess those were more furries that were more predominant in the community back in the early 2000s and everything. And now there's kind of like a new generational thing with like mid to late 2010s furries kind of popping up now. So they're kind of like, there's kind of like a generational gap, you know, the ones from that generation, like 10, 15 years ago are kind of sticking to themselves. Now the people in the past 5 years who got involved, more people around my age have their own thing. Yeah, that's what I'd say. Yeah, Mississippi does have a predominantly like older furry base, but there are some younger people. But again, I mostly stick to hanging with more Louisiana furries to get my fill of furry fandom inclusion. But that's it.
Like, to me, Memphis Fur Meet was like the opposite of Arizona FurCon, because Arizona FurCon, because like everybody knew telephone, it brought a lot of younger people, like, you know, a lot of younger people bringing their parents and stuff. That's what I remember there. So they had kind of a younger crowd. Telephone brings in a lot of the youngins, I think. All right, so my name is Khord Kitty. As you could tell, my microphone is a lot better than last week. I had a Logitech headset that was like, a little tinny. This is a beautiful Yeti. Oh, and I got it in those little boxes where you have the insulation foam in there, and it's so nice. A lot better than last week. All right, let's see. Today has been a pretty good day. It's been very good. I've been really looking forward to this because I like the idea of just grabbing one furry from each continent and just sticking him in one place. I think it kind of maybe adds a little international flavor to it, because I mean it's very easy to be in your bubble, especially during COVID. It's easy to just kind of be stuck in one little place and forget that everyone is kind of experiencing a little bit of that craziness. All right, so next, Jolt the Squirrel. Tell us about you.
Hello, guys. My name is Jolt Squirrel. I am a fursuiter, a podcaster, and an all-around big, notorious purple menace with a spirit of an adventurer. I have been known to be doing a lot of insane stuff in fursuit, such as riding a jet ski with my head on.
Now, have you ever done a fursuit dance competition? Because that, to me, that is the craziest thing anyone could do.
No.
See, the great thing... Okay, I've said this on the podcast a lot of times before, but the great thing about fursuit dance competitions they are not necessarily for dancers. They are for crazy people who wiggle, and they just keep wiggling, and then they don't stop wiggling until the judges are like... that's, to me, that's one of the craziest things you could do in fursuit. That and jumping into a pile of mud.
Well, I know. I mean, I guess you and I just have different opinions on what's crazy, but hey... Then again, I bet you none of you have ridden a jet ski with your fursuit on.
That is a video I would like to see. I could try to get that linked. How would we find this video of you on a jet ski?
Oh, it is on my Twitter page. I've posted it once. Twitter.com/JoltSquirrel.
All right.
I don't use it very much, but if you want to find me, I am very rarely there.
And if you want to know how to spell Jolt, just think of this soda. Oh, that soda that I have not tried, but I assumed it probably had a pretty toxic amount of caffeine. Am I wrong or am I right?
I think I tried it before and it was nasty.
It was nasty? Jolt, have you tried Jolt?
No.
You have not tried Jolt. That might be just an American creation now I think of it because you're in... I don't know what happens in Australia.
Down here in Australia.
No.
Yeah, things are different down here, of course.
You get your soda delivered to you in a kangaroo pouch, right?
So they all say.
All right, next, Jerry Husky. Jerry.
Hello, I'm just a little gold husky still trying to learn bass.
So when you say bass, you mean bass guitar, right?
Yes.
Very cool. One thing I've been liking to do, I hook up the piano and then I get the keyboard into the bass guitar setting, and then I'll be like, I play string bass. And I'm like, I also play string bass, and viola too. And at least they pretend to be fooled for a second.
You said you tried to learn guitar, right? And it was too painful for your fingers?
I think the bridge or some part of it was too high. It was impossible to play the F chord, and I was just like, I give up on this. But it was the cheapest. I mean, I got it for like $60 on Amazon, so obviously my expectations were way too high. But yeah, I think either the action or the bridge or something was way too high. It was just impossible. But no love lost there. I mean, come on, I've got the acoustic guitar mode in my Yamaha. That's the same thing. Or I know, if you're a composer and you have any sort of digital audio workstation, VST, you can make a guitar sound out of anything. You just MIDI data, boom, makes it into a guitar sound. You'll never have to own any other guitar. So VST, VST is a virtual instrument for non-composery, non-producery things.
We're going the way of the telegram.
All right, Inu the Wusky. Oh, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I am Inu. My persona is some kind of Wusky, wolf dog, husky thing, some kind of canine thing. I've been introduced to the fandom back in 2013 by accident while doing a Google search that led to BLFC, and I'm like, oh god, this is cute. I need to see this.
I don't want to ask what that Google search is, but what was the Google search?
What's trending?
Oh, wow.
And BLFC just happened to be trending at the moment, and I'm like, oh my god, what's BLFC? Biggest little frick? What? Okay, click. Oh god, these pictures are cute. There's fluffy animals. I need to be a part of this.
I find it very fascinating that the most popular Fursuit Dance YouTube video is a quad suit, the unicorn at BLFC, basically shaping around to the Gangnam Style. That's racked up at this point, I think at least 3 million views. So that's wild. Like, that's just like, what? But there's not a lot. It makes sense. There's not a lot of quad suits competing because it's a quad suit. Come on.
Yeah, and speaking of the fursuit dances, that's the first thing that I learned, after discovering by accident on Google search. And because I forgot what I was doing, but I was like in a bad mood, and I'm just like, okay, I need some entertainment. Google, what's trending? And that popped up. And then I'm just, how you fall down one of those little YouTube holes that you just can't escape. And I found the fursuit dances from Europe, furry conventions and American furry conventions and even the Australian ones. And I'm like, oh my God, there are people in mascot suits jumping around. How are they not overheating and dying? And I'm like, you know what? That's some serious talent. That is serious. I like this. And so at the time, I think in 2013, Dancing with the Stars was a big thing. And so I'm like, oh, what? You know what? This is just a lot more cuter, and I'd rather watch this. So I got into it. I started watching all the YouTube videos and all the conventions, all the fursuit dance comps, and I just really enjoy it.
I gotta say, the masked dancer skit on the Ellen DeGeneres show, I don't know if that's I don't know if it's become a TV show already, but we all know who Ellen DeGeneres stole that from. We all know.
I don't watch her. I've seen her before, but I don't watch her.
It's literally a fursuit dance competition, except they have celebrities inside of the suits, and that's their skit, the masked dancer. That's basically.
Oh, how fun! I need to see this now.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have representing Europe from Poland, Dave the cat. Meow meow.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? My name is Dave. I'm from Europe, or to be exact, I'm from Poland, which is not really small country in the middle of the Europe. I'm in the furry fandom for about 2.5 years. I met furry fandom when I was about 14, now I'm 19. I've been to only one convention until this day. I wanted to go to more, but COVID struck us. So, couldn't really do much more about it. It wasn't strictly furry convention, even though in Poland we have a few. But anyway, I found some fursuiters which really made me, I want to stay into this.
Now, I feel like there's something uniquely American about furry cons, like how the first one is started in California, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, and then it just sort of sprung I love how it's like it's like some sort of a furry pandemic. It just spread everywhere, and now everyone's got it.
I think it's because it's just cute. Being animals is just fun, and especially kids like it, so they want to stay it, and it just escalates.
Well, that is lovely. Can't wait to hear about what's going on in Poland. That's another one of those places I know nothing about, which is why I should do more episodes like this, because I'll be like, hey, I don't know anything about your country. Tell me about it. That's always good.
It's pretty hard for me to describe how Poland is, because I don't really know how to compare it to the USA that you live in. But I don't really like people that live here. I consider myself as European and not exactly a Pole, because I feel like my mentality is a little different than other people in Poland. But honestly, it's a really nice country. And if you don't look at how some people look at you, you can come here and really have some nice touristics around our country. There's a lot of history. We have a lot of museums about World War II, World War I, some uprisings that happened in Poland.
All right, so we'll make sure to invade Poland a little later and get to check it out, right? All right, so all right, so let's go to the last one. But not the worst one. Another kitty cat meow. Crunchy lion hailing from Paraguay, South America. But I'm guessing not necessarly a native.
Oh, no, I am a native.
Wow.
I was born here and raised here.
Your English is amazing. Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Well, I have Seether to thank for because we were actually talking about this yesterday. When we met, I had an extremely like thick accent, very South American. But from talking so much with him, I've kind of picked up his accent, and now it changed a bit. As for me, I'm an artist from Paraguay. I'm 25 years old. I've tried basically everything that you could try in the furry fandom. I've gone to conventions. I've danced in furry dance competitions. I've traveled. I've been to the US. Sadly, I haven't been to any US specific conventions, but I hope to go to one in the future. I do art mostly for a living, and yeah, that's basically me.
Very cool. Yeah, and again, Paraguay. I don't even know how to pronounce it. That's how little I know about the country. Paraguay. Paraguay.
Yeah.
Paraguay?
It's you know how to say parasol?
Parasol, yeah.
Okay, so you get para from that, and the question why at the end, so it's Paraguay.
Paraguay. Okay, so there is no G. There's no G sound. It's silent.
Yeah, well, that has to do a little bit with the accent. Basically, the way we speak Spanish is very different from any other country from South America because we mix it up with a native language from here. So it's our own little Spanish thingy.
Now, one little thing that I learned from, so I was all into ancestry and genealogy and stuff, and I found out that a lot of the Native Americans that were here, in the 16th century, before the Europeans had to go and spread all of their diseases and kill off a bunch of them, but I believe a lot of both South America and America. A lot of them were populated by a group of folks that were, I believe, in Siberia, and then they went to Alaska during the Ice Age, and then they went south, and that's how a lot of the Native Americans got there. It was through that land bridge, so interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot the name of that, but yeah, they crossed that ice bridge, and then over time, many, many years later, it melted away, so they got separated from the rest of the world, basically.
And I saw this really great video on YouTube. It basically explained the real reason why so many Native Americans died before the Europeans started doing their cowboy Indians, whatever, I don't know, their conflicts and wars and stuff. But what happened was because the Europeans were handling so many farm animals, it got them immune to so many different viruses, and then once they brought all those viruses over to the Native Americans, we're talking about possibly killed 90 million people. There's some estimates, and then a big reason why a lot of the early settlers in America were able to move in so easily and into America is because so much of the infrastructure, so many of the abandoned towns of the Native Americans who were killed by the pandemics that they brought from Europe, they were already there. So oh, look at all these nice huts. Oh, okay, we're just gonna move in.
Yeah, pretty much. And there was also some things related to Europeans trying to invade America. This has to do with Mexico, if I'm not wrong, the Mayans. They were fighting off the Spanish. And the reason why they won one of the battles and that one tribe got free was because the Europeans got diarrhea from eating the fruit.
Wow.
From that part. And it got so bad that people were dying from the diarrhea, so they had to retreat.
Well,
that's so funny. I'm not sure.
That's why they call it diarrhea, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I love it how you ask any history professor, okay, what killed the Mayans? They're like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no one knows. Yeah, no.
Now, on the subject of stuff that nobody knows, does anybody know what's going to happen on season 2 of Beastars? Jerry, what's your ideas?
Well, it's going to get way more sad, but I've only seen the trailers, so I can't say much about it.
Now, when it comes to sad stuff, I want to tell you, there's an animation called Moral Oral. So it's written by an atheist trying to basically lampoon religion. It's clay animated, but it's a dark humor. But what I got to say, it is the most depressing animation, I think, in the history of the world. I have never seen anything so dark in my life. Oh my God.
I remember I would stay up really late and watch Adult Swim after Cartoon Network growing up. And I remember seeing something like that. I remember I watched one episode. I remember it terrified the heck out of me when I was like 9 or something. There was this one about they thawed out a monkey or some crap or something. And then they had to like teach it to like praise God or something or burn in hell. And I don't remember everything, but I do remember it was a very strange show. I don't remember it being depressing, maybe because it's been like 13 years since I watched it. But yeah. Definitely a interesting show, Moral Oral.
It's depressing like BoJack Horseman is depressing, where like you're kind of not completely miserable because you are dealing with a lot of comedy and a lot of comedy writing, a lot of very dark comedy writing, but still there's this kind of like there's this weird feeling that everybody is just secretly hates each other, and that's kind of that's kind of the gist I sort of get from both BoJack and Moral Oral.
Well, yeah, I saw those shows too, and they were pretty good.
Yeah, but I love dark comedy. That's just for me, it's the best. So, but yeah, Beastars, don't hate me. I don't know if I have my furry street cred ruined by saying I have not seen Beastars at all. I have not seen it yet.
Hey, join the club. Me neither.
Okay, cool. We'll be in the club together. That sounds good.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Wow, really? Damn, a lot more than I thought.
There is another show which is I don't know the name of it. Maybe it's I think Brand New Animals, and I remember there were some people making memes saying that Brand New Animal was better than Beastars, so I decided to see Brand New Animal instead. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I saw like a version that was all cut up from YouTube because obviously the copyright or whatever. But it looked really nice. I was really impressed, and the concept was very interesting too.
I won't deny I'm gonna be kind of a basic cringe furry here. But I know like a lot of you guys are like, oh, it's either you're thinking like, oh, I've never watched Beastars, or oh, I barely care for it. I've seen it, but I don't care. Me, I'm kind of a super fan. I remember literally the hours of season 2's like reveal teaser trailer and the official trailer, and then the song reveal, like the Vocaloid song for the second season OP. I've watched all the trailers and listened to the songs like hundreds of times now at this point. So yeah, that's kind of cringe, but I love Beastars quite a bit.
Now it's not cringe that stopped me from watching it to begin with, but I think what stopped me watching it to begin with is because it seems like furries just like it because it has anthros and it's kind of more of an adult theme. Like it felt like, oh well, you just like it because it has that. You don't actually like it because of its content or its writing. So I think that type of skepticism really kind of made me want to not necessarily embrace it, but tell me why I should watch it. What do you think?
Well, okay, for starters, you might like this, but it's about a bunch of students in a drama club at high school, which sounds like what you would be in at that age. And it's realistic in a sense. I'm not going to say who, but a few of the characters within the drama club are gay.
And that's very progressive. I like it when they have different groups that have not been represented as much in the past, and then if it's an important part of the plot, that's absolutely that's excellent, and that might be a. But I'm more interested in so as a super fan, Seether, why would you recommend that I watch this?
Well, I don't want to force you or anything, but if you have an interest, oh god, if you're into anthros, obviously, or furries, and yeah, it's one reason. It's even without the furry stuff, it's a good anime. It's a really good anime. I think I'm not an animation expert, but I really like the animation. If you like that kind of 3D CG kind of stuff, kind of mixes with 2D quite a bit. I also would recommend it because, again, it's an amazing musical score, and it's a good story overall too, especially like if you read the manga. People have read the whole story through the manga, so there's definitely people into that. I just think it's very well made. That's, again, it's like, even without the furry aspect, it's a good anime overall.
No,
that's just my take.
For furries living with their parents, do you watch it with your parents? Do you recommend that?
No.
No, why not?
Not at all.
Tell me why not, because I'm dying to know.
Oh, Grimchi, can you tell about the one scene when we watched it, the English dub when it came out? Remember that incident?
Yes, I do, but don't worry, no spoilers.
We're not going to spoil anything. It's just there was this one scene. Her and I were together, and we watched it like last March when we watched the Japanese original audio, but then when they had the English dub come out on Netflix, we watched it, and it's not a bad anime. There's violence, but in terms of like suggestive content, there's only like maybe 2 scenes in the whole first season of the anime that has kind of suggestive themes. And it just so happened when we were watching it, her freaking grandmother came in on one of those 2 suggestive scenes, and I'm just like, this is awkward. So yeah, I would recommend watching it with your parents.
What did the grandparents say? I have to know.
They just ignored it. They didn't say anything, and they grabbed her fidget spinner and just started spinning it like, doo, doo, doo. Remember, Beck?
That's
if
hilarious.
I can jump in for just a second.
Of course.
I'm one of those cringe who watched it just because, oh my God, furries. And without spoiling it, I'll say this. I didn't care too much for it until the last 2 episodes. It's slow. For me, anyways, I needed to force myself to watch it. But when the last 2 episodes of season 1 happened, I'm like, oh, okay, this is a very good story.
Okay, well that's good to know. I guess I have a few more reasons to wanna check it out. I think there's a lot of it I didn't know, because I mean, for me, I went to drama class too. I had two years of drama through all the musicals, and I didn't know that there was a drama class theme. Like, it sort of reminds me a little bit of Glee. Isn't Glee all about like a class in a high school? I mean, it starts out like that. So
yeah, pretty much.
But I will try to watch it. I think it's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Let's change the topic completely. So, Seether, your topic was the COVID's effect on the fandom. That's a little bit darker. So, tell me what was on your mind in regards to that.
Well, I would feel like, in terms of the pandemic, I'll just refer to it as that and all, because, saying that word. But I do believe that in some ways, I would say the furry community as a whole, in terms of its like growth and its progress and its kind of like huge expansion of, like relevancy and everything, was kind of like halted a little bit when the pandemic first started. Because obviously when it started, we had to like shut down like all conventions and everything. So it was like, oh no, we can't go to conventions and everything. And now don't get me wrong, there's other reasons for the fandom success. There's media, there's art commissions, not just conventions, but that did take out a huge chunk. And then also on the commission side, for like fursuiters and for artists, you will see that because of the pandemic, a lot of people don't have money, and so they don't have the disposable income to make commissions for artists or to buy their fursuits. And now some people could be like, oh, and they could get the stimulus check and everything. You could pay for it, but I've heard of some people doing that. They pay for like a portion of their fursuit bill to the commissioner with their stimulus check. But I feel like most people would take the more responsible route and take that towards like their basic survival rather than, a fursuit or an art piece or whatever. But, that's just I think. And again, I would say that the furry community definitely, in terms of its growth, it's been hit. Now, in terms of when the world will go back to normal and the pandemic's over, which it's all stay positive here, knowing that it will end. We're not going to be stuck in this forever. Just we don't know when. It could be either this summer, this fall, late into this year, or early next year. The question is, though, like, how are these conventions going to like pick back up once we're all back to normal and everything? Like, are we still going to see like the attendance numbers that we were seeing before the pandemic started, before everything like had to shut down last year? Are we going to be able to keep those numbers, or is it going to be too much of a distance to where people can't? Or it could be even higher with people wanting to go out more. Maybe we'll see an explosion of people attending conventions or something. Now, in terms of the art sector, until like, people can get their money working again, and we can fully get people back to work, I would say still we could see issues with commissioners and artists. I don't personally know any artists or fursuit makers that have been heavily hit by the pandemic, but I would assume that there were that would definitely hit. And that's my whole take on it. So you guys can tell what you think.
Now, what do you think about the group of people who absolutely hate everybody in their family? They hate everyone. They're antisocial and they stay in the room all day. Has this been hard on them?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, sure. Has this been hard on those very forgotten people?
I would say it doesn't really affect me as much as a person who is more extroverted, who goes out more often. I can imagine that this is like every extrovert's nightmare. But as someone who's spent quite a bit of time, past couple of years, just mostly being online for my socialization, it doesn't affect me as much. It has affected me a little bit because before the pandemic hit, like the 2 years leading up to the pandemic, my social life was kind of blossoming a little bit more, and then it just certainly went. So that was definitely hard. But I think that at the same time, I could say people that dislike their family or something like that, or they have trouble, with connecting with other people or having friends, I would say that these platforms like Discord and Telegram definitely will help us. I feel like even if you're not someone that goes out at all, like just simply like, knowing that the pandemic affects just many different aspects of your life, that can definitely impact you mentally and emotionally. Like for example, like I have major things planned for my life that this pandemic sadly is, impacting like when I can do those things. And it's indefinite, but at the same time, it's important, I would feel, for everyone, be it if you're an extrovert or introvert, if this doesn't affect you that much at all, to like focus on your keeping yourself safe from the virus, obviously, but also to focus on your mental health, your physical health, and just overall well-being, especially right now with everything being crazy, because it's very stressful for some people. And for some people, it's also very lonely and saddening and depressing. But just take it one day at a time and stay positive and stay safe.
So I want to tell you the advice that for me, I personally always live by. What I do is I try to only focus on things I have control over. And during times like this, just about everything in my life, I don't have any control over. I mean, like just everything, like I can't control like where I want to go, what I do there, who I get to hang out with. I can't control any of that. So what I do is I'm like, okay, so what can I do now? Aha, I'll commission a VR avatar. Okay, I could control that. And so that's my mindset. For me, that helps me more than anything to just forget everything that I don't have control over, even though if that is a huge amount of my life. What is your what is your mindset?
Take it,
yeah. What helps you most through the pandemic?
Taking everything one day at a time and just being optimistic. And also practicing a lot of self-care. I know you should always practice self-care, but especially now, always also find a lot of ways to distract yourself, especially when we were in quarantine back in last March when most of the world was. I think it was a nice time for most people who had to stay in home to really like focus on themselves and maybe like spend that whole month like, doing their personal project. I will say that from March to July, I was really impacted with not being able to really leave the house and everything. And I predominantly spent those 3 or 4 months really working on YouTube to distract myself and to focus on staying distracted. So again, it's just really preoccupying your time, especially this very like surreal kind of specific time where you can't really do a lot of things. So I kind of like what you said, like don't only work on things that you can control. That's just me.
Now, one great way how quite a few furries like to occupy their time is they like to draw. And we do have one, we might have a few, but we have at least one artist among us, and that is Crunchy Lion. Tell us a little bit about what you do in regards to artwork and how your business might have been affected, or has it been affected by the situation?
Oh, I got 0 commissions throughout the entirety of 2020.
And
I was getting like around 4 to 5 every month, every 2 months. Because I work like this. I do digital art. I do reference sheets and stickers mostly for Telegram. And before 2020, I was doing a lot of Telegram stickers for people. I would get a ton of people even waiting for me to open my commissions. But then 2020 hit, and this thing happened, and man, I did not get any single commission. And the only way that I was surviving throughout 2020 was through stimulus checks that the government here was giving out.
Now, how big would you say those stimulus checks are, like in maybe dollar terms?
I think we did the math with Seether back then. It was around $200 a month.
But that I guess would go a little bit further in Paraguay. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh yeah, the currency exchange is pretty high. So even though in dollars it sounds like too little, it's like $1 million here. So I was getting $1 million in my currency a month, and that was pretty much enough to survive with no issue at all.
Wow, so you were a millionaire, yet you weren't getting any commissions. That's amazing. I'm going to move to Paraguay right now. I want to be a millionaire too.
Just remember that 1 million here is $200.
I feel ripped off right now.
Yeah.
I admit I did get a bit of a discount on my head because the dollar changed. Like I was basically buying my fursuit head from somebody who I believe who was living in France, and at one point he was like, "Oh well, it costs like $1,000." I'm like, "Oh, I can't do it." And then one day he messaged me going like, "Okay, never mind. It's gonna be like $700. The dollar's doing pretty good." I'm like, "All right, currency exchange rate. Thank you, dollar." It was
like throughout 2020 and even right now, throughout the beginning of 2021, the currency exchange of dollar to other currencies and backwards, it's been going up and down so much.
Now, one thing I keep thinking about is when I look at furry art and whenever I look at furry art or fursuits from like Asian countries like Malaysia, Japan, China, there is a significantly different look to it. Way more different than the American suits. Now, makes me question, is there also a different look for maybe Polish fursuit makers or Polish whatever? So Dave, what do you think? Is there a kind of something that makes a Poland unique in this whatever style of fursuits or art?
Well, actually, it depends on an artist. I have a few friends which are who are making fursuits, who are making fursuits or art. Personally, I've made my fursuit myself with a lot of time and a lot of money. But what can I say? It all depends on an artist and his style. Every artist actually has his own style, so who I am to judge. Yeah.
I think when I was looking at like European cons, I mean, honestly, I think if you're to take any picture from like a European con of the fursuiters, it looks like an American con in a weird way, or maybe even Australian. Like I can't tell the difference between those looks to it, but with the more Asian cons, obviously the eyes usually are a little bit bigger. I mean, I think that the style of Japan is very interesting. The history behind the style of Japanese like animation and art, it's very much influenced by the Walt Disney cartoons with the really big eyes, and then they kind of sort of in a weird way American art styles, international art styles were influenced by Japanese art styles and vice versa. But with Poland, like so with either Poland or Europe, do you see anything unique in Europe that is maybe different stylistically when compared to other parts of the world?
Well, actually, It's not as different as you can say. I think basically it's because a lot of people just commission their fursuits from America and they just buy them in America and they travel to them in Europe.
Wow, I had no idea. Like, because I mean, if I was in Poland, I'd think I'd like go to a Polish maker, but you say they go to American makers and have it sent over.
I mean,
wow.
not really Polish, Polish ferries. I mean, other Europeans, because in Poland we have our own currency, which is pretty cheap in comparison to dollars or euros, because 1 PLN, which is our currency, is worth like a quarter of a dollar.
During the pandemic, were you also getting a million, just like the Paraguay people?
I don't know, not really.
Now, when it comes to just sort of comparing the style of like Europe, North America, Japan, whatever, when I was trying to find a car about a year ago, everyone kept telling me, "Oh, get Japanese, get Japanese, get Japanese," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Let's talk about cars. So, Inu, your topic was, I believe, cars or something. What would you say about the Japanese brand or the difference between European cars and North American cars?
Well, I'm a fan of American cars, and I'm also a fan of Japanese cars. But there's a little bit of a difference to me. It's like the I know it's not universal. There's obviously a lot of differences, but to me, a Japanese car is more of a zoom zoom, really fast car. And then an American car is, well, I'm not so fast, but I can pull a house off its foundation. Where can you go to Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi, Subaru? So everybody has their own kind of thing. I mean, if you need a car that goes to Home Depot and back home, and you're always towing things and you're always hauling stuff, well, you want the powerful without the speed. But if you're a little bit of a speed demon, I kind of like the Japanese. It's fun to tune those little cars. But it's, in my opinion, it's way more fun to tune older cars that don't have so many computers and don't have so many sensors in them. It's just so much easier.
Honestly, the moment you said American car, the first thing I thought was, yeah, Ford tough. America.
America.
Exactly what I heard in my head.
Yeah, the funny part about it is I have a Chevy. It's a 2012 Chevy Sonic. This car is everything but American. I had to look for parts because, you get the little breakdowns here and there. I had a radiator hose that developed a little pinhole in it, and it wasn't a horrible thing. It was just, okay, throw a little more antifreeze in it. And it got it to the point where it's leaving puddles on the floor. So I'm like, all right, time to hunt down a hose. Let me see, what is this car? Oh, you're part Opel, part Vauxhall, part Daewoo. I mean, like it's Germany, England, Australia, South Korea, and Japan and America, I think, assembled in South America. I'm like, oh my God, you are the most diverse car. I love you. But yeah, I almost had to buy a hose from Australia from a Holden Barina, but luckily I found the Chevy Sonic hose in Philadelphia.
Now, I think you said before that you're not a huge fan of the really new cars with all the sort of shiny stuff and the newbie stuff, but just recently Tesla has revamped some of their new models, and now I believe on the Model S they have a screen on the center console that you could be seen by the people in the back seat. Now, don't you think that is completely cool?
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, for the younger generation, for the more the more technological generation, the people who are into their gadgets and into their Bluetooth things and the convenience of wireless and the convenience of, touch screens and stuff, that is awesome. I love it. Back in the times, because I'm a little bit of a gray muzzle. I'm technically I'm Gen X, but people call me a boomer because I act really old. Back in the days when you wanted to get something like that, you had to wire all this stuff into a car stereo. You had to buy all kind of different kind of headrests to have the TVs in the headrest. And you know what, Tesla, that's kind of cool. You're just putting it right there for the people who want it. But like I said, I act like a boomer. Personally, I'm more interested in driving than to have all these gadgets and things. I'm not talking bad about people who like their gadgets. God bless them. I love them. But just my preference is zero distractions, because I learned to drive with like a roll down windows and a stick shift transmission, a stereo where you can feel the buttons without taking your eyes off the road. And then now we have these stereos in the car where you just speak to it and it recognizes your voice, and it does things for you where you just talk to it. I don't know where I was going with this. I forgot because I'm a little bit of a dum-dum.
Now, one thing I might agree with you with is well, actually, I'm really curious what your thoughts are about this. Self-driving cars. I feel like this is a bad thing. It will lead to a lot of lawsuits and a lot of carnage. What do you think?
Funny you mentioned that. There was a news article when Google first released their first self-driving car. I want to say it was Bing Maps from Microsoft released their car. And I mean, this is a million zillion to one odds they collided with each other.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's a self-driving car, I'm not going to read a book or take a nap. If I'm going to be in a self-driving car, I'm probably still going to keep my hands on the steering wheel and my foot next to the pedal. Just, call me a boomer. I cannot get myself to trust a computer. I'm still stuck in my ways.
I mean, regardless if you're a boomer or not, I got to say it's always fun to call someone a boomer. I think that's something that we should never take away from anyone.
I don't take no offense. I mean, there's great people, there's horrible people, boomers, Gen X, millennials. We all have our goods and our bads.
Like, I remember when I was younger, I think my parents had some connections with, like, stocks or whatever. And then when they dealt with stocks, they would call someone, yada, yada. Now with stocks, you have a little app on your phone and you just open up Robinhood and you could suddenly just buy a whole bunch of GameStop stuff. So I'm like, wow, okay. But now this is a big trending thing. I honestly have not followed this story too much, but I know Jolt has. So Jolt, please enlighten me about what this newfangled mumbo jumbo whippersnapper technology is doing.
So if you haven't heard about the current happenings in the stock market, that's just blown up all over the news. Yes, the shortest and simplest way I can say it to you is the common people just basically beat Wall Street at their own game, and now Wall Street is having a hissy fit over it, which is what makes this so glorious.
So I think the basic gist that I'm getting from the story is that everybody knows that because GameStop is starting to kind of fail a little bit because everybody could get their video games online and they can't really walk anywhere. They all think it's going to fail. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to buy a whole lot of it to artificially make the stock a lot higher, and then they sell it and make profit.
Like, you don't have to understand how the stock market works. I think most of us here, let's face it, will never ever get how it works. But ultimately, what the big bankers always expect is that they wanted GameStop to fail, so that if GameStop the stock price drops, they can basically get it back for a difference of money. So that means they earn a profit. Now, but because people are pumping GameStop's stock price, you can imagine the common people are getting richer while Wall Street is losing money. Well, it's a class war. Basically, it is the common people versus the financial elite.
So what do you think is the big secret that Wall Street doesn't want us to know?
Well, the game has always been rigged in their favor. Like they can't, because they haven't, been able to win by fair means. They have to rig the game in their favor. Like it was a system designed by them for them.
Do you know if there's any connection between Bitcoins and the GameStop stocks? I don't know, but I know.
Not particularly. No. What I do know is that a meme coin called Dogecoin is shooting up in price a bit in order to kind of like replicate this whole stock market success that we've been having.
I saw this really great Onion story, and it had this. I don't know if this is completely related, but it had this story about little dog barking for 6 months straight, and it was I don't know. To me, it was really funny because whenever I walked my dog around, the little dogs would always be like just nonstop. It was very, very true.
I don't know why, but that reminded me of this like TikTok puppy. I'm pretty sure Seether's gonna know this one, but there is a dog that barks in a very, very funny way. And for some reason, it got so popular in TikTok because he doesn't bark the regular, wow way, wow way. He barks saying awa awa.
It's like awa awa.
Sounds like Yoshi.
Awa awa. Like that.
Awa 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 awa. So Inu, I know it's rude to ask a Wusky his age, but what is your age?
42 in human years. I don't know what that is in dog years, but I'm ancient in dog years, I suppose.
Now, I've got a big question. This is something I've been thinking about a lot. Is 42, even like, is 34, like, how old is too old to be using TikTok?
Take it from here. The only reason I have a smartphone is because they don't make flip phones anymore, and the ones they do are garbage. I never had instant messenger from Facebook. I had Twitter at one point, but I kind of lost interest in Twitter and it just kept on buzzing. So I'm like, uninstall it. I've never had Facebook. I've never had Instagram. I never had none of those things.
Now, I don't want to encourage the use of Twitter at all because it's kind of trash, but you can change the notifications. That is, you could make it so that the notifications turn off. That might make it a bit more user friendly or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's other reasons why I lost my interest in Twitter, and I'll just keep it nice. I just didn't care for it anymore. The only thing I have on my phone is Telegram. That is the only app that I can say I really enjoy Telegram because, I mean, text and voice and pictures and music and whatever you need, whatever you want, it's there.
Almost every person who I have invited to this podcast would ask me, "Oh, okay, are we recording on Discord?" And I'm like, "Nope." Okay, then where are we going? Which? It's like, you ain't going anywhere. I love saying that. It's so fun.
I was so surprised when you said Telegram. I was like, "What? How?"
This is a very new update. It is so new.
Yeah, when I first found that Telegram introduced voice chat, I was just over the moon.
Like, I feel like sorry, you go on.
And it's amazing because it's just made Telegram so much more utilitarian, so much more useful.
I would say that, I can agree, with how powerful Telegram is, and especially with the, I don't know, I think there was, a privacy policy change with WhatsApp, and I think WhatsApp is, the most, it's even bigger than Facebook Messenger. It was the most predominantly used application or messaging application in the world, with over 1 billion users and everything. And hell, even a lot of countries predominantly use that instead of a regular phone number. Like when I went to Paraguay and everything, there would be tons of businesses with their WhatsApp number placed and everything. And it was a really good app. But then recently, when there was a change to the privacy, rules and regulations and everything, a lot of people recently over the past few weeks deleted the app and now have switched to Telegram. And Telegram was ranked 5th or 6th most downloaded messaging app. And then suddenly now there's a huge new influx of Telegram users now.
And I'm sure it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Parler completely got rid of all their conservative. It totally stopped working, and then the conservatives left Twitter, and then suddenly boop, Telegram's like, oh, number one. Yep, they all escape.
Predominantly with the Telegram taking up a lot. I think Telegram, you have to change in your settings to stop it. Like it automatically downloads everything you load up on Telegram that you see into your phone. And I was like, man, why do I have like 4 or 5 gigs just for Telegram? Why do I never have space on my phone? And I'm like, oh, it's because Telegram automatically stores all of that. So it's just, you got to either choose like, oh, delete that stuff after a specific amount of time, or you just choose not to download any unless you specifically choose to download that certain image or video.
I think it does not only download the photos or messages that you see, but it actually loads them in the background. So if you open the app, you can actually check as fast as possible the latest messages.
Now, I know Telegram's all encrypted and stuff, but one thing I really want to know about is whoever the guy who hacked Kiro's Telegram, like I wonder what he's up to, because that's pretty clever. I mean, I don't know if that's still possible again, like to hack someone's Telegram. I mean, I'm assuming that they maybe implemented some sort of a two-step verification, but do you think I'm just having this open question to anybody, but do you think a Kirogate could happen again in 2021? Nobody knows.
I personally think it maybe not Kiro specifically related, but there might be something going on. Because I checked the recent update and it made it way easier to like delete and get rid of like all your trace and chats and stuff like that. So yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure I've seen at least 1 or 2 articles talking about how like different terrorist groups, like maybe ISIS or whatever, are either communicating announcements or recruiting using Telegram. So obviously, Telegram's encrypted policy is endorsed by people shady and not so shady. That is true. Telegram's getting a lot of popularity now. I think I'm happy to say I think the furries really got attacked and used Telegram way before it got super popular.
I would agree there. Yeah, I would say that I've been a Telegram user since either late 2016, early 2017, and I would agree that I would say that Telegram wasn't necessarily like a 100% like furry messaging app, but a decent chunk of its user base, I would say, in a very obscure way, was just furries with It was the stickers that started it. It was the stickers.
Oh yeah, when I made my own sticker set, I was just like, oh, this is. I don't care that there's a white square behind all of my pictures, and I made it with MS Paint, and it doesn't look that good. I could now express all emotions using pictures of my persona. This is everything I have ever wanted.
Totally. And just like Seether said earlier, like with the recent changes and stuff with people moving in, Telegram used to be my furry safe haven where I would just open the app and every single chat would be furry related. Now pretty much half of my friends list of the like normie friends are now using Telegram and making their groups there and adding me there, and I'm like, no, go away.
I think I was talking with some of the first. Should I call it the Khord Kitty show, or is that too vain? It's like, yeah, that's a little too, that's a little egocentric. But for sure, I honestly, this is called the Fur's greatest podcast in the world. I think there's, I like that name. I'm sorry. I feel like there's I think what I was thinking when I made that name was, I was like, there's so many furry podcasts in the world. How do I make this one stick out? Oh, well, we're the greatest in the world. I think I'm pretty much trying to be ironic about it, because I've been just taking. I just message a bunch of people and go like, "Hey, you want to join the podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." But yeah, I feel like this was very educational. I really like learning about other countries and stuff, because obviously, I was a shut in before COVID made it hip for sure.
Me too.
All right.
You know a lot of things. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, thank you everybody for joining this podcast. I really appreciate it. Thanks again, Crunchy Lion, Dave, Inu Wusky, Jerry Husky, Jolt the Squirrel, and Seether Wolf. Thank you all for participating. I'm so glad that we have so much of the world represented here. This is pretty cool. And hopefully
You're welcome.
Hopefully I could do this again.
No problemo.
Yeah, as much as it was short notice, it was a pleasure to be on.
It was nice.
I had fun.
I had fun too.
Absolutely. And thank you all again for joining us. Everybody stay healthy, social distance, all that sort of stuff, and be happy. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.